The first thing you notice is the dark, a deep, quiet, and ancient dark, the kind that feels woven from time itself. It's not the empty, sterile dark of a modern room, but a darkness that is alive, filled with the faint, lingering scent of myrrh and warm stone. You're lying on your back, and the surface beneath you is not a mattress, but something firm, cool, and covered in a fabric of impossible smoothness. It feels like spun moonlight against your skin. Slowly, a sliver of dawn appears, a pale, milky line of light cutting through a high, narrow opening in the wall far above you. It doesn't illuminate much, but it gives shape to the shadows. The air you breathe is thick, warm, and carries a sweet, complicated perfume. A whisper of honey, wine, and something resinous, like cedarwood after a rain. It's the ghost of a sacred incense called kyphi, a blend of 16 ingredients known only to the high priests, designed to soothe the spirit and welcome dreams. Its presence suggests a space both royal and divine. Hello, and a very warm, very gentle welcome to Black History for Sleep. Tonight, we invite you to leave the world behind, to let go of the day's concerns and drift down the slow, winding river of time. We're going to travel to a place of immense power, beauty, and forgotten history. Before we begin our journey in full, we'd love for you to leave a comment with your time and your location. It's a quiet way of connecting us all, fellow travelers settling in for the night across the globe. And if you find comfort here, please consider subscribing for more soothing Black History bedtime stories. It helps our small channel grow, and share these tales with others who need a peaceful rest. A soft warning, though. You probably won't make it through this journey awake. And that's perfectly fine. This story is designed for sleep, a gentle current to carry you into your own dreams. Now let's ease into tonight's journey. The lamps are lit, the breeze is warm, and our story begins. You shift slightly, a simple movement that sends a cascade of soft metallic chimes through the quiet. You glance down. Your arms, resting at your sides, are a deep, rich brown, adorned with heavy bracelets of gold and polished carnelian. A pectoral ornament, a magnificent piece of worked gold and lapis lazuli, rests on your chest. It rises and falls with your slow, steady breath. It occurs to you that sleeping in what amounts to your entire treasury is not, perhaps, the most practical way to get a restful night. The light grows, inch by inch, and the room begins to reveal itself. The walls are not painted drywall or plaster. They are massive blocks of limestone, cool to the touch, and covered from floor to ceiling in intricate carvings. Hieroglyphs, they tell a story of gods and mortals, of battles won and kingdoms united. You see the falcon god Horus, his gaze steady and protective. You see the great god Amun-Ra, his plumed crown a symbol of dominion over the sun and air. And you see you, a figure with your profile. Your posture is carved into the stone, making an offering. You are wearing a fine, pleated linen kilt, almost transparent in its quality. The fabric is a testament to the master weavers of the Nile, a craft honed over thousands of years. But this isn't just Egypt. There is something else here, a different energy, a southern strength. The figures in the carvings have features that speak of the lands beyond the First Cataract, the heartland of Nubia, the kingdom of Kush. A faint memory, like the echo of a dream, whispers through your mind. A memory of a different capital, Napata, nestled in the curve of the great river far to the south. A city of powerful queens and zealous priests, where the traditions of the ancestors were held with fierce pride. Historians still debate the precise nature of the relationship between the Kushite kings and the Egyptian pharaohs in the centuries leading up to this moment. Was it a history of pure conflict, a clear line between conqueror and conquered? Or was it more fluid, a shared heritage that ebbed and flowed like the Nile itself, with culture, gods, and even bloodlines mingling in ways the stone reliefs don't fully explain? The answer feels just beyond your grasp, a story half remembered from a long sleep. You sit up, the cool air touching your bare shoulders. The weight of your responsibility feels as tangible as the gold on your wrists. You are a pharaoh of the 25th dynasty, a Kushite king, a Black Pharaoh, who has done what your ancestors only dreamed of. You have marched north, not merely as a conqueror, but as a restorer, a unifier. You now rule over two lands, the fertile black soil of Nubia and the ancient monumental kingdom of Egypt. The weight of the double crown, the Shent, is yours to bear. The silence is broken by a soft rustle of movement outside your chamber door. A moment later, the great wooden door, reinforced with bands of bronze, swings inward without a sound. Two figures enter, moving with a practiced, silent grace. They are priests, their heads shaven, their white linen robes immaculate. They bow low, their foreheads nearly touching the stone floor, and remain there, waiting for your command. It takes a surprising number of people to help one person get out of bed. One priest carries a small golden ewer filled with cool water, scented with lotus flowers. The other holds a basin of hammered silver. This is the morning ritual, the first of many, a purification to prepare the vessel of the God King for the day ahead. Your body is not your own, it is a sacred vessel, an earthly manifestation of divine power. Every action, from rising to eating to dressing, is a ceremony. As they approach, their movements are slow and deliberate, designed to be soothing, respectful. The scent of their clean linen and the cool floral water fills the space, chasing away the last remnants of sleep. They will wash your hands and feet, anoint your skin with fragrant oils, and dress you in the fresh linens laid out for the day. You are the center of this small, quiet universe, the sun around which all these other lives orbit. You extend your hands over the silver basin. The water is cool and shocking, a jolt of pure reality. It clarifies your thoughts. The dreams of the past fade, and the present solidifies around you. Outside you can hear the first stirrings of the palace, the distant call of a heron from the riverbanks, the soft murmur of voices in the courtyards, the gentle rhythmic sweeping of palm frond brooms against stone. The palace is waking up. The kingdom is waking up. And you, the living embodiment of its power and its connection to the gods, must wake up too. The day ahead is a long thread of rituals, audiences, and decisions that will shape the lives of millions. From the farmers tending their fields along the Nile to the architects building your grand monuments, your will is the instrument of the gods. And the gods, it seems, have a particular fondness for grand temples and meticulously recorded offerings, a pantheon of expensive taste. The priests finish their task and step back, their heads bowed. The room is brighter now, the sun climbing higher in the eastern sky, turning the dust motes dancing in the light into a shower of gold. Your gaze drifts back to the carvings on the wall. The figure of the pharaoh, your figure, stands tall and serene before the gods. It is a portrait of absolute certainty, of unshakable divine right. Inside you feel the quiet weight of that expectation, the deep flowing current of history that has carried you to this moment, to this magnificent sun-drenched room at the dawn of a new day in the kingdom of Kush and Egypt. The journey has just begun. The priests step away and are replaced by a new retinue of servants, each with a specific and silent purpose. The morning air, once scented with the sacred kyphi smoke you remember from the deep night, now carries fresher, more earthly fragrances, the clean scent of pressed linen, the nutty aroma of almond oil, and the faint, sweet perfume of blue lotus. Your personal attendants approach, their movements a fluid and well-rehearsed ballet. Two of them unfold a kilt of the finest bleached linen, pleated with a precision that seems almost impossible, each fold as sharp as a blade of grass. As they wrap it around your waist, you feel its surprising weightlessness, a soft whisper against your skin. Another servant kneels, fitting ornate sandals to your feet. The soles are made of woven papyrus and leather, and the straps are decorated with small, golden beads that will chime softly as you walk. This is the sound of your approach, a gentle announcement of your presence. You stand, and your gaze falls upon a polished bronze mirror, held up for your inspection. The reflection is dim, hazy by modern standards, but clear enough. You see a face that is both familiar and foreign, a vessel for a spirit that spans millennia. The dark eyes, the high cheekbones, the strong line of the jaw. It is the face of Kushite royalty, a lineage that has worshipped Amun at the foot of the holy mountain, Jebel Barkal, for centuries. An attendant now comes forward with a small pot of galena paste. This is Kohl, the iconic black eyeliner of this age. With a delicate ivory applicator, he carefully lines your eyes. The sensation is cool and smooth. This is not merely cosmetic. The Kohl is believed to possess protective qualities, a magical shield against the harsh glare of the sun and the malevolent spirits that might hide in its light. The dark mineral compound also had the unintended but beneficial effect of protecting against eye infections. A small piece of practical magic in a world filled with divine mystery. Next comes the jewelry. The heavy gold bracelets are clasped back onto your wrists. A series of wide, intricate collars, the wesek, are settled over your shoulders. They are crafted from thousands of tiny beads of gold, turquoise, and carnelian, forming patterns that tell stories of protection and power. Finally, two attendants approach with the ultimate symbol of your authority. They carry the double crown, the shent. It combines the tall white Hedjet crown of Upper Egypt with the curved red Deshret crown of Lower Egypt. It is a physical representation of the unification of the two lands under your rule, a heavy, magnificent declaration that the Nile, from its southern cataracts to the northern delta, flows through your domain. As they place it on your head, you feel its immediate, undeniable weight. It is at once a symbol of supreme power and a guarantee of a persistent neckache by day's end. You are surrounded by people, yet you are in a world of your own. You ponder the nature of this existence. Historians and archaeologists can reconstruct the rituals from the scenes carved on temple walls, but they can only guess at the inner life of a pharaoh. Was there ever a moment of quiet solitude, a space for a thought that wasn't dictated by dogma or duty? You wonder if it is possible to be lonely in a room with 20 people, all of whom are dedicated to ensuring you are never alone. Your dressing is complete. You are no longer just a person waking from sleep. You are the incarnation of a god, the bridge between the heavens and the earth. Every gesture you make is now imbued with meaning. Every word you speak carries the weight of law. The attendants step back, bowing as one. The path from your private chambers is clear. You take your first steps of the day. The beaded sandals make a soft, rhythmic shush, shush, shush against the polished limestone floor. You walk through a short, columned corridor, the air growing cooler as the ceilings rise higher. The faint, distant sounds of the palace you heard from your bed are louder now, a complex symphony of life. The clang of a blacksmith's hammer from the workshops, the chatter of officials in a courtyard, the bleating of a sacrificial lamb from the direction of the temple precinct. At the end of the corridor, a set of immense cedarwood doors stands closed. Beside them, waiting with a patience that seems carved from stone itself, is a tall, slender man in the simple white kilt of a high official. He is older, with a wise, calm face, and eyes that have seen the turning of many seasons along the river. This is your vizier, your Chati, the chief administrator of the entire kingdom. He holds a rolled papyrus scroll tied with a simple linen cord. He carries a scroll that is no doubt filled with matters of grave importance, most of which you suspect could be solved with a good harvest and a little less bureaucracy. He sees you approach, and his back, already straight, becomes straighter still. He performs a deep, formal bow, his right hand placed over his heart. He doesn't speak, not yet. Protocol dictates the order of things. You are the sun, and the kingdom only begins to turn when you choose to shine your light upon it. You give a slight, almost imperceptible nod. It is enough. The day's work is about to begin. The private, ritual self is about to give way to the public, political one. The vizier rises smoothly from his bow, his expression unreadable but deferential. Life, prosperity, health, to the Lord of the two lands, he murmurs, his voice a low, steady hum that is absorbed by the vastness of the space around you. May your day be as bright as the disk of a 10. He gestures to the great cedar doors. At his silent signal, two guards pull them open. revealing the hall beyond. You step through, and the scale of your world expands dramatically. You are in a hyper-style hall, a forest of enormous sandstone columns that reach up into the shadows of the high ceiling. The columns are carved to resemble bundles of papyrus reeds, their capitals blooming like lotus flowers at the top. Light streams in from clear-story windows high above, illuminating the dust motes that drift lazily in the air and casting long, sharp shadows that move with the sun. The floor is polished limestone, so smooth that it reflects the columns like a still, dark lake. The sheer size of the hall is designed to inspire awe, to make any mortal who enters feel small in the presence of the divine authority of the Pharaoh. Your sandals make a solitary, echoing slap against the stone as you walk towards the center of the hall, where a simple but elegant throne of dark wood and gold awaits. The vizier follows a respectful 3 paces behind you. The hall is not yet open for public audiences, so it is largely empty, save for a few guards standing like statues against the walls, and a lone scribe kneeling in a far corner, meticulously preparing his tools. You watch him for a moment. He has a small wooden palette with 2 depressions, one for the black ink made of soot and gum arabic, and one for the red ink made from ochre. He is chewing the end of a reed pen, softening the fibers to create a fine brush. It is on such humble, practical tools that the entire complex machinery of your empire is built. You take your seat on the throne. It is hard and upright, not built for comfort, but for presence. The vizier stands before you, untying the linen cord on his scroll. "Your Majesty," he begins, "the daily reports." He is the Chati, a title that makes him the second most powerful man in the kingdom. All of the state's functions, the treasury, the judiciary, the granaries, the armies, the monumental building projects, all report to him, and he in turn reports to you. He is the bottleneck through which the lifeblood of the empire flows. He begins his report, his voice calm and measured. A dispatch from the governor of the Fayum oasis reports a successful harvest. Good. A request from the garrison commander at the fortress of Buin, far to the south in Nubia, for more supplies. You make a mental note to approve it. A report on a border skirmish with Libyan tribesmen to the west. 2 local governors are arguing over the precise boundary of their territories, a sliver of sun-baked desert. You almost smile. You make a mental note to remind them that there is, in fact, an abundance of sand available to everyone. The vizier then unrolls another section of the scroll. "The high priest of Amun at Karnak sends his daily greetings," he says, his tone carefully neutral. He also reports that the temple granaries are at 90% capacity and requests royal approval to begin construction of a new pylon gate. This is the subtle dance of power. The priesthood of Amun, based in Thebes, is fantastically wealthy and influential. Historians of the future will debate endlessly whether the priests were truly subservient to the pharaoh or if they operated as a parallel power, a state within a state whose favor had to be constantly courted. You feel the weight of that question in the vizier's careful phrasing. You are the god-king, but their god, Amun-Ra, is the king of the gods. It is a complicated relationship. The report continues. The vizier's update on the national grain silo levels is impressively detailed. You feel you know each individual grain personally. Then he presents a petition, carefully transcribed onto a fresh sheet of papyrus. It is from a master brewer in Memphis, complaining that the quality of the barley from the last harvest has resulted in a beer that is, in his esteemed opinion, slightly too bitter. You consider this with all the gravity it is presented with, a matter of national importance to be sure. A kingdom runs on bread and beer, after all, and the happiness of the people is a form of power in itself. You give your judgments, a word here, a nod there. The scribe in the corner is no longer idle. His reed brush flies across his own sheet of papyrus, recording your decrees. The words you speak here, in this cool, cavernous hall, will become law, traveling by runner and boat up and down the Nile, shaping the reality of your kingdom. It's a strange feeling to see the vast, sprawling life of the nation condensed into the vizier's neat columns of hieratic script. It feels both simpler and infinitely more complex than the serene images of rule you saw carved on your bedroom wall. Those reliefs showed a pharaoh in perfect communion with the gods. They did not show a pharaoh mediating a dispute over bitter beer. The vizier finishes his reports and carefully rolls the scroll. Majesty, the hall of audience is prepared. The petitioners and foreign envoys are waiting. He looks to you for the command. This is the next phase of the day, the public performance of power. You will sit on a grander throne before a larger crowd and dispense justice and favor. You take a slow, deep breath, feeling the cool stone floor beneath the thin leather of your sandals. You nod. It is time. The great doors at the other end of the hall begin to swing open, and the sound of a waiting crowd, a low and reverent murmur, drifts in. The great doors swing fully open, and a wave of bright hot air washes over you, carrying with it the scent of 100 bodies, of perfumed oils and warm dust. You step into a vast open-air courtyard, the hall of audience. The sun is already high, beating down from a sapphire sky, its light so brilliant it bleaches the color from the sandstone walls. A crowd of perhaps 200 people, officials, petitioners, priests, and foreign dignitaries, are arranged in neat rows. As one, they fall silent and bow, many prostrating themselves completely, their faces pressed to the hot stone. One man in the front is prostrated so low you worry he might be trying to inspect the quality of the floor tiles on your behalf. You move with a slow, deliberate pace toward the far end of the court, where a large elevated throne sits under a silken canopy, providing a small patch of shade. The vizier follows, along with a cadre of guards and fan-bearers who begin to stir the still, hot air with large ostrich feather fans. You ascend the steps to the throne and take your seat. From this vantage point, you can see them all, a sea of white linen, colorful robes, and anxious faces, all turned toward you. This is the essence of your role, the core of your divine duty, to be the earthly dispenser of Ma'at. This is the ancient concept of truth, justice, order, and cosmic balance. Every decision you make, from the fate of a nation to the plea of a single farmer, must be weighed against this eternal principle. Upholding Ma'at is what separates civilization from chaos, what keeps the stars in their courses and the Nile flooding its banks. It is a profound and heavy responsibility. The vizier signals for the first petitioner to approach. A farmer, his skin weathered and dark from a life under the sun, kneels at the foot of the dais. He speaks of a stolen ox, his voice trembling slightly. You listen patiently, ask a few clarifying questions through your vizier, and then deliver your judgment. The neighbor who stole the animal must repay him with 2 oxen from his own herd. The judgment is simple, swift, and fair. It restores balance. The farmer prostrates himself again, weeping with gratitude, and is led away. This is Ma'at in its simplest form. Next comes a more complex affair. A delegation from the land of Punt, that fabled country to the southeast, on the shores of the Red Sea. Their leader, a man with rich, dark skin and wearing a leopard skin wrap, steps forward. His people do not prostrate themselves. They bow their heads with a quiet dignity that speaks of a different but equally ancient culture. Their attendants bring forth gifts, chests overflowing with fragrant bowls of myrrh resin, bundles of dark, heavy ebony wood, and most impressively, 5 young incense trees planted in large baskets, their roots carefully wrapped. The scent of myrrh, the same scent that lingered in your chamber in the deep of night, now fills the hot daytime air, a callback to the dreamlike world of sleep. The source of that royal perfume is now here before you, a gift from one kingdom to another. Then comes an envoy from the north, a representative of one of the Canaanite city-states. He speaks a Semitic tongue, which is then translated by an interpreter into Egyptian for the vizier, who then presents the essence of it to you. You watch the interpreter, a man whose face is a mask of concentration. How much nuance is lost on this journey between mouths? How much of the envoy's intended flattery or subtle threat is reshaped by the mind of the man in the middle? Historians of the future will possess treaties and letters, but will have to guess at the delicate, unrecorded dance of live diplomacy. The envoy from the city of Tyre speaks for a small eternity, praising your wisdom, your strength, and even, it seems, your choice of sandals. Flattery is the first and oldest form of currency. You listen to his request for a renewal of trade agreements for cedar wood from his land in exchange for Egyptian grain. You consider it, your face a mask of serene contemplation. The cedar is needed for the sacred barges of the gods and for the roofs of your new temples. The grain is plentiful this season. It is a good trade. You give a slight nod of assent. You dispense your judgment with a serene nod, a perfect picture of divine wisdom. Inside, you are simply hoping you understood the question correctly through 3 layers of translation. So it continues for what feels like hours. A priest from the Temple of Ptah in Memphis requesting funds for a new sanctuary. A military commander giving a report on the strength of the Eastern Desert patrols. A woman accusing a merchant of selling her underweight goods. One by one they come, they kneel, they speak, and they receive the word of the Pharaoh. You are the calm center of this swirling vortex of human need and ambition. The sun crawls higher, the shadows shrink, and the heat intensifies. The fan-bearers work harder, their feathers making a soft whooshing sound that is the only constant noise in the chamber. Finally, the last petitioner is heard. The vizier steps forward and declares the morning audience concluded. The crowd bows as one, and you rise, your back stiff, the weight of the crown feeling heavier than ever. You descend the steps and walk away, leaving the heat and the noise of the crowd behind, retreating into the cool, quiet heart of the palace. You pass from the brilliant, overwhelming light of the audience court into the cool, shaded tranquility of the palace's private quarters. The temperature drops immediately, and the silence is a balm. The sound of your own footsteps on the stone floor returns, a steady, unhurried rhythm. The path leads you to a secluded garden, a personal oasis shielded from the public eye by high walls. Here, the world is green and alive. Papyrus and lotus flowers grow in a long, rectangular pool of water, fed by a small trickling channel. The air smells of damp earth and jasmine blossoms. The buzzing of bees is a gentle, industrious hum. A simple, low table of polished sycamore wood has been placed on a shaded veranda overlooking the garden. Cushions are scattered on the woven reed mat beside it. This is where you will take your midday meal. The frantic energy of the morning gives way to a profound sense of peace. The silence is more comforting than any amount of praise from a foreign diplomat. It's amazing how restful the absence of flattery can be. Servants appear, moving with their customary silence. They bring not a grand feast, but a simple, elegant meal fit for a king's refreshment. There is a small roasted duck, its skin crisp and glistening. There are bowls of lentils, chopped onions, and garlic. A basket holds warm, soft flatbread, perfect for tearing and dipping. For dessert, there are fresh, sticky dates, deep purple figs, and a small bowl of honey, the ultimate luxury for sweetening. To drink, there is not wine, but a large, cool ceramic jug of the finest barley beer, the lifeblood of Egypt and Nubia alike. It is the drink of gods and laborers, a staple that binds your kingdom together. Somewhere in the administrative offices, a scribe is likely marking a tally of beer distributed to the workers building your newest monument, a mundane accounting for this most vital of resources. You eat slowly, savoring the flavors and the quiet. A light breeze rustles the leaves of the pomegranate trees at the edge of the garden. You look at the feast laid out before you, a meal for one that could easily feed a dozen. The gods, it seems, favor a diet rich in variety and spectacle. As you eat the tender meat of the roasted duck, you remember the call of the water birds you heard from your window as you first awoke, a faint sound from the river that now finds its way to your plate. The entire kingdom, it seems, is a cycle of life, from the river to the sky to the palace table. In this quiet moment, your thoughts drift to the other pillar of your reign, the queen. Or perhaps it is your mother, the Queen Mother. In the Kushite tradition of your ancestors, women hold immense power. The god's wife of Amun, a title often held by a royal daughter or sister, is a position of incredible religious and economic authority in Thebes, controlling vast estates and her own administration. Scholars of the future will look at the proud, powerful depictions of the queens of your dynasty and debate the true extent of their influence. Was it a power that rivaled your own, or one that perfectly complemented it? You know the answer. She rules her own domains with a quiet efficiency that suggests you are not the only one in the family who knows how to manage a kingdom. A comforting, if slightly humbling thought. The meal is finished. A servant brings a bowl of water to rinse your fingers and a linen towel to dry them. The hottest part of the day has arrived, a time when the kingdom seems to take a collective, sleepy breath. The farmers rest in the shade of a palm tree, the merchants doze in their stalls, the scribes lay down their reed pens. It is a time for quiet contemplation, for rest, for escaping the sun's oppressive glare. You lean back against the cushions, feeling the warmth of the day settle into your bones, a pleasant weariness from the morning's duties. From here, you can see past the garden walls to the top of the great pylon of the Temple of Amun, and beyond that, the endless, shimmering ribbon of the Nile. The day is half over, but for now, in the cool of the garden, there is only peace. The gentle lethargy of the afternoon does not last long. Rest for a pharaoh is merely a pause, not a conclusion. As the sun begins its slow descent, casting long golden fingers of light across the garden, you feel a renewed sense of purpose. Legacy is not built by napping. You summon a servant with a quiet word, and soon after the royal architect is announced. He enters the shaded veranda, a man whose skin is permanently dusted with the fine powder of limestone, and whose hands are calloused from both tools and papyrus. He carries a heavy rolled scroll. He bows low, his respect deep and genuine. He is the master of your grandest ambitions, the man who will translate your desire for eternity into stone and space. You gesture for him to unroll the scroll on the low table. It is a magnificent sheet of the highest quality papyrus, long and heavy. On it, drawn with the confident, precise lines of a master draftsman, are the plans for your pyramid. One spends a great deal of time and treasure planning a house one will, technically, never live in. Yet, this is more than a house. It is an anchor for your soul, a ladder to the heavens, and a declaration of power that will, with the favor of the gods, outlast mountains. You study the drawings. This is not one of the massive, smooth-sided pyramids of the old kingdom pharaohs at Giza. Your ancestors from Kush revived this ancient tradition, but with their own distinct style. The plans show a smaller, more intimate structure, but with dramatically steep sides, rising sharply towards the sky at an angle of nearly 70 degrees. It is a design that speaks of a fierce, upward-reaching piety. The architect points to a section of the plan detailing the burial chamber deep beneath the pyramid. "Here, Majesty," he says, his voice filled with a quiet passion, "the walls will be carved with the 42 negative confessions to aid your journey through the underworld." He speaks of quarrying red granite from Aswan and aligning the main entrance to the rising of a specific star. He speaks of these things with a fervor most men reserve for a good harvest or a beautiful lover. It's good to love your work, especially when it involves moving mountains. You are not merely continuing an old tradition, you are consciously reviving it. You are a restorer. Scholars in the far future will call this archaism and debate its motives. Was it a shrewd political move to legitimize your southern dynasty's rule over the north by showing yourselves as more piously traditional than the northern kings who came before you? Or was it a sincere belief that you were returning Egypt and Nubia to a golden age of faith, sweeping away the corruption of recent times? As you gaze at the plans, a faithful copy of a style 1,000 years old, the answer feels like both. It is the perfect marriage of politics and piety. The architect, wanting to illustrate a finer point about a decorative element, pulls out a small flat piece of white limestone, an ostrakhan. On its smooth surface, he quickly sketches a detail of a lotus relief with a piece of charcoal. This is the scratch paper of your age, a humble tool for crystallizing grand ideas before committing them to the eternal stone. It is a fleeting thought, captured on a flake of rock. The main plan shows the grand inscriptions that will adorn the chapel attached to the pyramid. The architect points to a long column of intricate hieroglyphs. This passage details your victories against the chaos lords of the marshlands in the delta, a triumph for Ma'at. You look at the complex symbols, a language of gods and poets. You hope the gods are not too critical of your grammar. You spend a long while reviewing the plans, suggesting a minor change here, asking a question there. The angle of a corridor, the placement of a false door to confuse tomb robbers, the specific offerings to be depicted on the chapel walls. This is your eternity, and the details matter. Finally, you are satisfied. You dip a reed pen into a pot of black ink and make a small, almost imperceptible mark on the edge of the papyrus, your royal seal of approval. The architect's face breaks into a relieved smile. He carefully re-rolls the scroll, bows once more, and backs away, leaving you alone with the lingering scent of ink and the weight of your own mortality. You sit for a moment, the architectural drawing of your final resting place occupying the same space where your midday meal once sat. The cycle of life and death, all on one small table. The sun is lower now, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet. The shadows are long and cool. Your thoughts are not on death but on time itself, on the thin thread that connects you to your ancestors, and if your pyramid is strong enough, to your descendants. You have made your mark. Now it is time to speak to the gods. As twilight deepens, a different kind of energy begins to stir in the palace. The pragmatic work of the day, the audiences, the administration, the building plans, is done. Now begins the sacred work of the evening. You rise from the garden veranda, the cool evening air a welcome relief after the day's heat. Your attendants appear as if from the shadows to escort you, their torches casting flickering, dancing light on the stone walls as you move through the palace corridors. You are heading for the great temple of Amun-Ra, the heart of the empire's spiritual life. Your procession is small and quiet. This is not a public festival. This is an intimate and essential duty. As you emerge from the palace grounds, you see the temple complex looming against the bruised purple sky. Its scale is breathtaking, designed to make a mortal feel like an ant. The great pylon gates, the largest in the world, look like man-made mountains, their surfaces covered in giant reliefs of pharaohs smiting their enemies. A permanent display of divine power and royal might. You pass through the gates, your footsteps echoing in the cavernous courtyards. The air inside the temple walls is different, cooler, heavier, and thick with the scent of 1,000 years of burnt offerings and incense. The familiar, sacred scent of kyphi is here, but it is not a lingering ghost as it was in your chambers this morning. It is fresh, thick, and pungent, billowing from bronze censers swung by silent, white-robed priests. They lead you past the public courts, deeper into the temple's sacred heart, to a place where only the highest-ranking priests, and you, the ultimate high priest, are allowed to enter. You come to a small, sealed shrine made of polished black granite. Inside this shrine rests the golden statue of the god Amun, the physical vessel for his Ka, his divine spirit. Your duty tonight is to perform the evening ritual, to prepare the god for his rest. A priest hands you a simple, clean linen robe, and you exchange it for your royal attire. Here, before the god, you are a servant. The high priest unseals the shrine, and you approach. Inside, the small statue of Amun sits on a throne, gleaming in the torchlight. You begin the ancient ritual, your voice a low chant, the words familiar from a lifetime of training. You ceremonially cleanse the statue with water from the temple's sacred lake. Then you anoint its golden skin with perfumed oils. Finally, with the help of a priest, you dress the statue in a new gown of impossibly fine linen. You dress the golden statue of Amun in linen finer than your own. It seems only fair. He is, after all, king of the gods, and likely has a reputation to uphold among the other deities. As you perform these familiar actions, you have a moment of quiet reflection. Does a living God, as you are proclaimed to be, truly believe in these rituals in the same way a common farmer does? Or do you understand them as a necessary performance, a sacred theater that maintains cosmic order and social cohesion? Theologians and historians will never know the secrets of a pharaoh's heart, but as you look at the serene golden face of the statue, you feel a genuine connection, a sense of participating in a mystery far older and greater than yourself. Near the shrine, another priest is meticulously inscribing names onto small, crude pottery bowls. Names of rebellious chieftains in the distant lands, names of foreign kings whose ambitions threaten your borders. Later, these execration texts will be ceremonially smashed, a potent act of ritual magic intended to break the power of your enemies. It is a reminder that worship and warfare are two sides of the same coin in the fight to uphold Ma'at. The final part of the ritual is the presentation of the evening meal. An extravagant array of roasted goose, bread, cakes, wine, and fruit is laid out on an altar before the statue. You present the feast to the god, whose golden eyes stare back, unblinking. The statue, you notice, never seems to have much of an appetite. The divine essence of the food will be consumed by the god, and later the priest will enjoy the physical reversions of the offerings. It is a practical system that ensures the gods are honored and their servants are well fed. You complete the final incantation, a complex prayer that requires 32 distinct hand gestures. You silently thank your childhood tutors for the endless drills. It would be deeply embarrassing to accidentally curse your own kingdom with a misplaced finger. With the ritual complete, you back away from the shrine. The priests seal it for the night. God is at peace. A sense of profound calm settles over you. The cosmic balance has been maintained for another day. You walk out of the temple, leaving the flickering torches and the thick incense behind. Above you, the sky is a deep velvet black, strewn with a breathtaking canopy of stars. The air is cool and clean, and the palace, now lit with soft lamps, waits for your return. The day is finally drawing to a close. You return to your private apartments, the part of the palace where the stone walls seem to exhale the day's stored warmth. The air is still and soft, lit by the gentle, flickering glow of oil lamps resting in high niches. The grand public persona of the pharaoh can be set aside here, like a heavy cloak. An attendant helps you remove the great beaded collars and heavy golden bracelets. The freedom from several pounds of gold and lapis lazuli is a luxury greater than the jewelry itself. You are clad now in a simple, soft linen robe, comfortable and unadorned. From a nearby room comes the sound of quiet music, the gentle, hypnotic plucking of a harp, its notes like cool water trickling in the dark. This is the time for family, for the quiet connections that ground the divine in the human. In a private sitting room overlooking the dark garden, the queen is waiting. In your dynasty, the queen, whether your wife or your mother, is not a mere consort. She is a power in her own right, often holding the title of God's wife of Amun, a position of immense spiritual and economic authority. She has her own estates, her own administration, and a direct line to the will of the most powerful god in the pantheon. She is your closest partner in the immense task of ruling the two lands. She sits on a low-cushioned chair, a cup of cool wine in her hand. Beside her, on a small table inlaid with ivory, is a senate board, its 30 squares polished smooth from generations of play. The carved playing pieces, representing souls on their journey through the underworld, wait in silent readiness. A game that represents the perilous journey to the afterlife, a strangely relaxing way to end a stressful day. She looks up as you enter, her eyes intelligent and calm. She is the one person in the kingdom who does not need to prostrate herself before you. She listens patiently as you recount the events of the day, the petitions, the envoys from Punt, the tedious but necessary reports of the vizier. You mention the high priest's request for a new pylon gate, a project that will draw heavily from the temple's own treasury, a treasury she, as God's wife, helps to oversee. Her expression gives away nothing, though you suspect she has already reached the same conclusions you did, and probably an hour sooner. Her counsel is not wrapped in the flowery praise of diplomats or the cautious deference of officials. She speaks plainly. "The grain stores are full," she says, her voice low and melodic. "But the priest's ambitions grow faster than the barley. The gate is a worthy project, but it must be funded in a way that does not make the temple seem more powerful than the throne that supports it. It is good to have an advisor whose counsel is not preceded by 10 minutes of flattery about your divine wisdom. Her compliments are rare, and therefore worth more than gold. The relationship you share is a complex tapestry woven from affection, alliance, and shared duty. Historians of the future, with only stone inscriptions to guide them, will never fully grasp the quiet personal dynamics that shape the course of empires. They will see the titles, king and queen, but they will miss the nuance of a shared glance over a Senate board, the weight of an unspoken understanding, the simple comfort of a trusted presence in the quiet of the night. You don't play the game tonight. The simple act of being here, in this peaceful space, is enough. You share a cup of wine, the silence between you as meaningful as the conversation. The harp music continues its gentle, looping melody, a thread of sound stitching the evening together. The weight of the crown, both the physical one and the metaphorical one, feels lighter in her presence. You are not just a symbol of divinity, you are a husband, a son, a partner. And in this small lamplit room, that is enough. After a time, you both rise. The palace is growing quieter. The servants are banking the fires and trimming the lamps for the long night watch. It is time for true rest. The deep sleep where it is said, the gods themselves can speak. You bid her a soft good night and turn toward your own bedchamber, the day now a complete circle, returning you to where it all began. You walk the last few steps to your bedchamber, the same room where you awoke into this life. The corridor is silent, your bare feet making no sound on the cool stone. The guards at your door are still as statues, their faces lost in the deep shadows. Inside, the room is lit by a single small oil lamp, its flame casting a soft, warm glow that seems to push back the immense darkness of the night. The air is already thick with the familiar calming scent of kyphi. An attendant has just lit the incense in a clay censer, its smoke curling upwards in a thin gray ribbon, a sacred invitation to the world of dreams. The final rituals of the day are simple and soothing. A servant brings a basin of cool water and gently washes your feet, wiping away the dust of the day's journey through the palace. You slip out of your evening robe and into a simple sleeping kilt of the softest, most worn linen. This is the final shedding of the day's responsibilities, the last layer of formality dissolving into the quiet of the night. You are returning to the essential self, the sleeping soul. You approach the great bed, its linens turned down, looking cool and inviting, but you do not lie your head on a soft feathered pillow. Instead, a finely carved wooden headrest waits for you on the bed frame. The weirs. It is a simple, elegant object, its curved neck designed to cradle the base of your skull. To a foreigner it might seem impossibly uncomfortable, but you are used to it. It keeps your head cool in the warm night air and, as your tutors used to say, protects the intricate style of a royal haircut. It is, you reflect, an acquired taste in comfort. You lie down, the firm mattress supporting your back, and settle your head onto the smooth, cool wood of the headrest. The attendant silently extinguishes the main lamp, leaving only the faintest embers of the incense burner glowing in the corner. The room sinks back into the deep, ancient dark you first met this morning. Your eyes adjust, and the carvings on the wall, the scenes of gods and your own royal self, become faint, ghostly outlines in the gloom. You lie still, listening to the profound silence of a sleeping palace. The only sound is your own breathing, slow and regular. Your thoughts begin to unspool, to drift away from the conscious world. This is a sacred time. Dreams are not mere fictions of a sleeping mind. They are a bridge to the divine, a state where mortals can receive messages from the gods. As Pharaoh, your dreams have meaning for the entire nation. A good dream can be a divine endorsement, a prophecy of prosperity. A bad dream, a warning. Tomorrow, If you recall any of your night visions, you will recount them to the masters of the secret things, the dream interpreters of the temple. They will consult their ancient papyri, their dream books, to decipher the symbols. You hope for simple dreams tonight. A vision of a chaotic flood could lead to a week of frantic meetings about dike maintenance. A dream of yourself eating a ripe fig is good. It means your words will be sweet to your people. A dream of seeing your own face in a mirror is bad. It means a rival is plotting. The system is both complex and deeply serious. The scent of the kyphi deepens, its 16 ingredients working their gentle magic on your senses. You feel your body grow heavy, your limbs relaxed. The boundary between wakefulness and sleep begins to blur. You are floating now, untethered from the stone and gold and linen of your waking life. You are simply a consciousness adrift on a dark, quiet river, journeying towards the sacred shores of sleep, waiting to see what messages the gods have for you tonight. The day is done, the story continues, but in a world of silence and shadow. You are adrift on a sea of liquid night. The world of stone and linen has dissolved, and you float in a place of pure symbol, the landscape of the soul. This is the dream, the sacred journey. You are standing on the deck of a magnificent barge, its prow and stern shaped like coiled serpents. The barge is not sailing on water, but across a sky of polished lapis lazuli, so deep and dark it feels infinite. The stars are not distant points of light. They are brilliant, living jewels sailing alongside you. You are not alone. Before you at the helm stands a figure with the head of a ram. It is the sun god, Ra, in his nocturnal form. You are on his solar boat, the Manjet bark, on its perilous journey through the Duat, the underworld. This is the great cosmic struggle that happens every night, ensuring the sun can rise again at dawn. Your dream has placed you at the heart of it. The navigation is impeccable, which is reassuring. Getting lost in the underworld feels like it would involve an inconvenient amount of paperwork. The barge passes through great pylons that mark the hours of the night. At each gate, a monstrous guardian waits, a demon with the head of a crocodile or the body of a serpent. But the barge is protected by powerful magic. The air hums with the sound of incantations, some of them coming from your own lips, words you know here that you do not know when you are awake. The gentle melody of the harp you heard in the palace is present here too, a soothing sound that pacifies the lesser demons who bow their grotesque heads as you pass. In the fields of the underworld, you see familiar faces. The farmer whose ox was returned to him is here, peacefully tending to a plot of impossibly green barley. The architect from your afternoon meeting stands beside a pyramid made of pure moonlight, sketching its perfect angles onto the darkness itself. The incense trees brought by the envoys from Punt grow in a sacred grove on the riverbank, their fragrance a balm against the underworld's terrors. The events of your day have become elements in this divine landscape, but the journey is not all peaceful. As the barge enters the deepest, darkest hour of the night, the water of the sky begins to churn. A shadow writhes in the depths, a being of pure chaos and uncreation. A great serpent, impossibly large, rises from the abyss. Its coils could encircle the world. Its roar is the sound of silence, a vacuum that threatens to swallow all light and sound. This is Apep, the eternal enemy of Ra, the embodiment of chaos. Historians will wonder if this creature is a primordial force or a fallen god, but in this moment, you know only that it is the antithesis of everything you stand for, the ultimate threat to Ma'at. Apep, the great serpent of chaos, does not seem open to diplomatic solutions. The battle is joined. The gods on the barge, and you among them, raise weapons of light. Spears of brilliance pierce the serpent's hide, but it thrashes and tries to capsize the boat, to swallow the sun god whole and plunge the universe into eternal darkness. You feel a strange sense of calm purpose. This is your duty, magnified to a cosmic scale. Upholding order is not just about settling disputes over land. It is about this. You raise your own hands, and from them shines a light of pure authority, the power of the double crown you wear in the waking world. The light strikes the serpent's head, and it recoils with a hiss that shakes the foundations of the Duat. Ra, in his ram-headed form, casts a final spell, binding the great beast, and the barge sails on, leaving the creature wounded and defeated in its wake. The immediate danger has passed. The sky before you begins to lighten. The deep lapis lazuli blue softens to a gentle periwinkle, then to a soft rosy pink. The barge is approaching the final gate of the underworld, the gate of dawn. The journey is almost over. You feel a sense of profound exhaustion and profound victory. You have faced chaos and prevailed. You have helped ensure the sun will rise. Being reborn every single morning sounds exhausting. You make a mental note to thank the sun god for his efforts. The light ahead grows brighter, warmer, a promise of the world you left behind. The dream begins to fade, dissolving into the gentle, approaching light of a new day. You awaken. The first light of dawn is once again filtering through the high window of your bedchamber, but this morning is different from the last. There is no confusion, no disorientation. There is no sense of being a stranger in a strange land. You awaken with the distinct feeling of having wrestled a cosmic serpent all night. It's a feeling that calls for a strong cup of something. Unfortunately, coffee has not yet been invented. The dream of the solar barge remains with you, not as a confusing memory, but as a deep, settled understanding. The nightly journey of your Ba, your soul, has returned you to your body, your Ket, and realigned you with your divine double, your Ka. You do not feel like a man playing the part of a king. You simply are. The hieroglyphs on the wall are not just decorations. They are your story. The weight of the crown you will soon wear is not a burden. It is a part of you. You sit up, feeling a sense of deep calm and renewed purpose. The morning rituals begin again, a familiar, comforting rhythm. The same attendants as yesterday arrive to wash your hands and feet and help you dress. They seem untroubled by the fact that you spent the night battling the forces of uncreation. Professionalism, you suppose. The scent of the morning lotus water is clean and reassuring. The world is as it should be. Order has been maintained. After you are dressed and the familiar weight of the collars and bracelets has been settled on you, your vizier does not immediately appear. Instead, a senior priest from the House of Life, the Per Ankh, is granted a brief audience. He is a keeper of the sacred texts and an observer of the heavens. He brings a short report on a papyrus scroll detailing the positions of the stars at the moment of your waking. "The heavens are auspicious, Majesty," he says in a low voice. The star of the goddess Sopdet rises brightly. It is a good day for beginnings, a good day to strengthen the foundations of the two lands. He holds the papyrus out to be read. Normally, an attendant scribe would read it aloud for you. The question of whether pharaohs were truly literate is a puzzle that will occupy scholars for millennia. But today, you reach out and take the scroll yourself. The papyrus is smooth and stiff in your hands. You unroll it and scan the neat columns of hieratic script. You read the scribe's report on grain shipments to the Temple of Ptah. His handwriting is excellent. You make a mental note to commend him. Clear communication is, after all, a pillar of cosmic order. You hand the scroll back to the priest with a nod of thanks, a small, personal act of engagement with the machinery of your kingdom. You walk from your chambers into the heart of the palace, your beaded sandals making their soft, familiar rhythm on the floor. The sounds of the palace waking up are the same as yesterday, but they reach your ears differently now, not as a foreign noise, but as the gentle, predictable pulse of your own household. The day ahead will be filled with similar duties, audiences, reports, rituals. But you will meet them not with the anxiety of a newcomer, but with the serene assurance of a king who has traveled through the underworld and back, who has faced the serpent of chaos in a dream and emerged into the light. The vizier is waiting for you in the columned hall, just as before. He has a new scroll, a new list of the kingdom's needs and concerns. He bows low. You give him a nod, not of hesitation, but of readiness. The sun is rising, the kingdom is waiting, and you are here to meet the day. The auspicious forecast from the priest of the House of Life resonates within you. A good day for beginnings, for strengthening foundations. An idea takes root. The reports and audiences can wait. Today, you will see the foundations for yourself. You will travel on the river. A word to your vizier is all it takes. The vast machinery of the palace shifts gear. The royal barge is to be prepared. An hour later, you are walking down a stone quay to the river's edge. The sun is warm on your skin, and a steady, cool breeze blows from the north, smelling of damp earth, blooming lotus, and the vast, wet life of the Nile. The royal barge is a magnificent vessel, a floating palace in miniature. Its long, sleek hull is crafted from imported cedarwood, its prow and stern rising high out of the water, decorated with gold leaf and your royal insignia. A large embroidered linen sail, currently furled, is ready to catch the southerly wind. But for this journey downstream, a team of 20 oarsmen will provide the power. It is a far more civilized way to travel than, for example, walking. You take your seat on a cushioned throne beneath a canopy that shields you from the sun. With a smooth, practiced motion, the mooring ropes are cast off, and the barge pushes out into the main current of the river. The rhythmic splash and pull of the oars sets a steady, hypnotic beat. The world of the palace, with its stone walls and quiet intrigues, recedes behind you, replaced by the vibrant, sprawling life of the kingdom. The Nile is a highway. You pass heavy cargo barges, their decks laden with pottery jars or blocks of granite, their crews poling them through the shallows. Small, nimble skiffs made of bundled papyrus reeds, carrying fishermen or families, dart between the larger vessels. Life and commerce flow along this river, just as the water itself flows towards the great green sea in the north. You glide past villages nestled among palm groves, their mud brick houses the same color as the earth they stand on. You see farmers in the fields, their backs bent to their work, guiding plows pulled by oxen or lifting water from irrigation ditches with a shaduf, a simple but ingenious counterweight crane. As your barge, with its great royal standards, comes into view, a wave of reverence ripples down the riverbank. They stop their work, stand, and bow deeply. You raise a hand in a slow, serene gesture of acknowledgement. You wonder if they are bowing to you, the living God, or simply to the idea of a brief, unscheduled rest from stooping in the sun. Further on, you pass a nilometer, a grand stone staircase descending into the river from the grounds of a temple. Its walls are marked with horizontal lines, a giant ruler for measuring the height of the annual inundation. This simple structure is one of the most important instruments in your kingdom. A low flood means famine. A high flood means destruction. A perfect flood, measured on these steps, means a bountiful harvest and full granaries. It is, in essence, a staircase designed to measure how much tax everyone will have to pay. A brilliantly simple, and likely not very popular, invention. The journey is peaceful, meditative. From the divine removal of your barge, you witness the eternal, cyclical life of your people, a life tied to the rhythms of the river and the seasons. The stories of their individual lives, their hopes and fears, are lost to you, as they will be to history. But their collective effort is the foundation of your kingdom, the living soil from which your grand monuments grow. You are traveling today to inspect the progress at the Great Temple, to see the physical manifestation of the pylon gate whose funding you discussed with your queen. The quiet purpose you felt this morning is now in motion, gliding downstream on the steady current of this great river. As you round a wide bend, you see it. The vast temple complex of Karnak, its pylons and obelisks dominating the horizon. The sounds of the river begin to fade, replaced by a low, distant hum of activity, the sounds of construction. The barge steers towards the temple's private quay. The oarsmen pull with a final unified stroke, and the great vessel glides smoothly against the stone. Your journey is over. The inspection is about to begin. You step off the barge onto the stone quay, and the atmosphere changes instantly. The serene quiet of the river is replaced by a symphony of organized clamor. This is the sound of creation on a massive scale, the sharp clink of bronze chisels on stone, the dull thud of wooden mallets, the grating sound of massive blocks being dragged on rollers, and the shouts of foremen directing their teams. The air is thick with fine, white limestone dust that coats everything and catches in the back of your throat. You are at the construction site for the new pylon, the monumental gateway you authorized. Before you, a mountain of raw materials awaits its transformation. Gangs of men, their brown skin gleaming with sweat under the hot sun, swarm over the site. They are not slaves, but skilled, paid craftsmen and laborers, the backbone of your architectural ambitions. They are organized into two great divisions, the left side and the right side, who compete and cooperate to bring your vision to life. The royal architect, whom you met in the tranquility of your garden, is here in his element. He strides toward you, his robes dusty, his face alight with the energy of the work. He bows, but there is an excited urgency in his movements. "Majesty," he shouts over the noise, "the foundations are secure. We have begun shaping the main blocks." He leads you toward a truly colossal block of sandstone, larger than a family's home, that is being slowly, painstakingly moved into position. It rests on a series of wooden rollers, and dozens of men are pulling on thick papyrus ropes, while others pour water on the sand in front of the sledge to reduce friction. They chant in unison, a rhythmic, guttural sound that coordinates their effort. It is a lesson in patience and leverage, and a reminder not to stand downhill from several tons of granite. You watch, fascinated by the ingenuity born of necessity. Without cranes or engines, they move mountains with muscle, wood, and rope, guided by a knowledge of geometry and physics passed down through generations. Scholars of the future will fill volumes with theories on how these feats were accomplished with such precision, but here, the knowledge is alive, embodied in the foreman who watches the angle of a lever and the tension of a rope. The foreman of the left side gang, a grizzled man with powerful shoulders, is called over. He bows, wiping dust and sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. You ask him if the work proceeds well. He assures you it does, with the weary confidence of a man who has been asked this question by kings before, and knows that yes is the only acceptable answer. He points to a team of stonemasons who are smoothing the face of a block with rubbing stones, their movements patient and practiced, creating a surface as flat and smooth as still water. You run your hand over a newly carved section of wall. The stone is still gritty with dust, but beneath it, the figures are emerging. It is a scene of you, as Pharaoh, making an offering to Amun-Ra. The same kind of scene that adorns your bedroom wall is here being born from the raw rock, a story you are writing into the landscape itself. You spend an hour at the site, inspecting the quality of the stone, observing the techniques of the workers, feeling the vibrant, powerful energy of this massive undertaking. This is the source of the kingdom's strength, not just the quiet authority of the throne or the sacred rituals of the temple, but this raw, coordinated human effort, this shared belief in building something eternal. Finally, your inspection is complete. You are satisfied. You give a nod to the architect, a word of praise to the foreman. As you walk back toward the waiting barge, you glance back over your shoulder. The pylon is still just a collection of massive, earthbound stones, but in your mind's eye, you can see it complete, reaching for the heavens, a testament to your reign, your faith, and the unceasing labor of your people. The sun is past its zenith, and the long shadows are beginning to return. It is time to go back to the palace, your sense of purpose affirmed, your connection to the foundations of your kingdom now made of tangible, dusty stone. The journey back to the palace is a slow, unhurried drift. The barge moves upstream now, against the Nile's gentle but persistent current. The oarsmen work with a steady, powerful rhythm, their muscles bunching and releasing in the soft, golden light of the setting sun. The return journey is slower. It gives one more time to contemplate the scenery, or more accurately, more time to wish the wind was stronger. The sky is a masterpiece of changing color. The brilliant blue of the day softens into shades of peach and rose, then deepens into violet and indigo. The river itself becomes a mirror for the sky, its surface a sheet of liquid sunset. The world seems to hold its breath. The birds of the day, The ibises and the herons are returning to their nests in the reeds along the banks, their calls a final lonely cry across the water. By the time the barge docks at the palace quay, the first stars are visible, sharp and brilliant in the twilight. You feel a deep and satisfying weariness, the fatigue that comes from a day of purpose. Back within the palace walls, you bypass the grand dining halls. Tonight, you have no appetite for a public feast. You desire a different kind of nourishment. You summon the chief librarian from the House of Life, requesting he bring you a sample of the medical texts his scribes are currently copying. In a quiet private study, lit by a dozen steady oil lamps, the old priest unrolls a long, delicate papyrus scroll. It is a copy of a famous medical treatise, a collection of diagnoses and remedies. You lean over the table, your eyes scanning the elegant hieratic script. It is a fascinating document, a perfect blend of keen observation and profound faith. One section details surprisingly accurate descriptions of bone fractures and methods for setting them. The next describes a cure for baldness involving the fat of a hippopotamus, a crocodile, and a serpent. You make a mental note to appreciate your full head of hair and avoid any such remedies. A young scribe sits cross-legged in the corner, working on his own copying exercise. He has a small section of the text and is painstakingly reproducing it onto a fresh sheet of papyrus. His concentration is absolute. You think about the years of training he must have endured, the endless practice on cheap limestone ostraca, memorizing hundreds of symbols, learning the precise mix of soot and water for his ink. The methods of this education are a mystery that future scholars will struggle to piece together, but its result is here before you, a living vessel for the kingdom's accumulated knowledge. He copies the text with a devotion that suggests the gods themselves will be grading his penmanship. Given the subject matter, perhaps they are. This is another kind of foundation, you realize. The one you saw today was of stone, built to last for eternity. This one is of ink and memory, more fragile but just as vital, a foundation of knowledge that must be carefully preserved and passed down through the generations. Your reign rests not only on the strength of your armies and the piety of your rituals, but on the accumulated wisdom stored in rooms just like this. You spend an hour in the quiet company of the scrolls, the scent of old papyrus and ink filling the air. You ask the librarian about his work, about the preservation of the oldest documents, about the training of his young scribes. It is a peaceful, intellectual end to a day of physical and spiritual exertion. Finally, you feel the day's weariness settling deep into your bones. It is time. You thank the librarian and leave the study, walking through the quiet, lamplit corridors of the sleeping palace. The path to your bed seems longer at night, or perhaps you are just walking slower. You arrive at last at your bedchamber. The great room is just as you have left it, a sanctuary of deep, quiet darkness, pierced only by the faint glow of the incense which has, once again, been lit for your rest. The cycle completes itself. The day that began here will end here. The journey is over. The final rituals are a soft murmur of activity in the profound silence. Your feet are washed. The last of your jewelry, the simple bracelets you have worn all day, are removed. You slip into your sleeping kilt, the fabric of familiar comfort against your skin. The attendants move like shadows, their work done with a quiet reverence that has now become a part of the rhythm of your life. They depart, and you are left alone with the silence and the scent of myrrh. You stand for a moment in the center of the room, looking at the small protective amulets placed on a table near your bed. A polished stone djed pillar for stability, and a carnelian tie-at knot for the protection of the goddess Isis. They are small, tangible prayers for a peaceful night. You are the most powerful man in the known world, a living god, yet you are still grateful for these small assurances of safety. You lie down on the bed. Your headrest awaits. It has not grown any softer since last night, but its familiar firmness is now a comfort. You close your eyes. You feel the events of the day settle within you, not as a series of tasks, but as a complete whole. The prayers in the morning, the judgments in the court, the journey on the river, the clamor of the construction site, the quiet wisdom of the library. It was a day of upholding Ma'at, the cosmic order. Another day of holding back the endless sea of chaos. Ma'at is safe for now. You suspect it will need upholding again tomorrow. It is, it seems, a job with no end. Your thoughts drift to the nature of time itself. Your day was a cycle, a nehe, a repeating pattern like the rising and setting of the sun. But the work you did today, the pylon you are building, the dynasty you are securing, that is for Jet, for the unchanging linear eternity of the gods and the stars. You exist at the intersection of these two currents, the mortal man living a cyclical life, and the divine king building for forever. And what does it all feel like? This is the final question that hangs in the air as you drift towards sleep, a question no historian can ever answer. What does it feel like to be the vessel of a god, the ruler of two lands, a single soul at the center of this vast ancient world? The answer is not in words. It is in the coolness of the linen, the weight of the gold, the scent of the lotus, the silence of the night. It is in the feeling of your own breath, slow and steady, as you finally let go and drift away. The story is over now, and you can let it all fade, just as the reflection of the moon fades on the slow, dark waters of the Nile. Feel the memory of the day, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the heavy, satisfying weight of golden collars and carnelian beads, a weight you no longer have to carry. Let it go. The coolness of the evening breeze on the royal barge, the scent of myrrh and sacred smoke from the temple. It all softens now, drifting away like a distant harp note in the night air. Remember the quiet, the deep, ancient silence of the stone chamber, the peaceful solitude of the royal garden, with only the buzzing of bees and the trickle of water. The journey is done, the audiences are over, the architectural plans are rolled up and put away. The cosmic serpent has been defeated in the world of dreams. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to decide, nothing at all to hold on to. You are floating now, on a gentle current, back to your own quiet place of rest. The river of this story has carried you to the shores of sleep, and you can disembark here, into the soft, welcoming landscape of your own dreams. The day of the Pharaoh is done, and your night of deep, peaceful, and restorative sleep is just beginning. Let the current take you. Let the darkness be a soft blanket. Let the silence be a gentle lullaby. Sleep now. Sleep well.